As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody. For whoever wants to listen, I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only RHOSLC McGick. What's up, dude?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
What about RHOSLC McDick?
Yeah, no, that one's good. Yeah.
McDick makes you sound yucky.
I'll take that one. Look, I mean, we're back into the most electric TV show on Bravo right now. It is hit after hit after hit. I don't care if they're on a cast trip. I don't care if they're at somebody's bat mitzvah. It just delivers every single week. And it is still my number one show for watching every single week. You have to watch it live. Even when I'm over in Europe, I got the inkling. Let's start watching this Friday morning. Why not? Let's just toss it on. Just see what's going on here. It's such a great show. I just have no complaints. It's just zero notes. Everybody's bringing it, and I love it.
I think the biggest thing you're getting out of this season versus seasons in the past and other shows that we've seen is this all seems real. Yeah. All the tension. Everyone's actually pissed at each other. Everyone's bringing up crazy shit. They're using accusations about stuff that they're making it up now. Like Brittany is flying off the handle. It's Meredith fantastic. Apparently has no memory of her own behavior in the past. No one does, for that matter. That's the best part about the RHOSLC crew is their short-term memory about their own actions in the past.
Yeah.
Apparently, they don't remember doing anything stupid ever. The hypocrisy is a different level with these ladies, and it makes for extraordinary TV because all of these little spats that we're having, all the feuds, all the fights, the arguments, the tension is palpable. Like you can taste it. Like they are just pissed. Everyone's mad at everybody. And I could see it every episode. If we get the breakdown in the beginning or in the midst, this person hates this person because this person hates this person. These two are cool. But yes, we've been asking forever. And it took Bravo themselves to give us the flowcharts. Our own audience couldn't give us flowcharts, but Bravo gave us flowcharts.
Well, Bravo gave us flowcharts in the way of the best production crew that they have.
They do.
In Salt Lake City's, which Salt Lake City's production crew is also Summer House's. So that explains why Summer House's production is so good too. I know I don't want to overwork them, but they are fantastic and I want them on every show. The rest of the production companies need to take notice. This is how you do it.
They get the assignment, I think. They understand that, like, yeah, some of this is serious. Yeah, but like it's broken down in a funny, light way.
Yeah.
Like the transitions, the music, the cutscenes, the animations, like the stuff that they do for this show. It makes it enjoyable throughout, even when it might be a little tense, but they're able to make it a little bit lighter. They are able to highlight touching moments in a thoughtful and thought-provoking way via Mary. Like they do a really good job. I agree. If they were able to, I know they'd be spread a little thin. We might see some regression, but if they could do more of the shows, I think they should. And if they're doing Salt Lake, which is out in Utah, and they also do Summer House, which is very far away in the Hamptons, who's to say they can't do more? We never, ever applaud production, ever. We very rarely give them props. This is a show that you can give them props for. They're doing a very nice job. And before we jump into everything RHOSLC related, I do want to let everybody know that with Brav Bros members, as you know, it's our membership program, we are now doing one episode a week on StreamYard live. So if you want to see us record live, comment while we're doing it, see how the process goes, you will get one live episode a week if you join the Brav Bros members, as well as one Bravo News Update episode weekly, and we do a monthly community Zoom once a month where we get on the Zoom call with all of you and chit chat about what's going on. You can ask us questions. We talk about whatever topics are current in the Bravo sphere. So if you want to join and if you want to watch us record and comment while we do it, join Bravo Bros members. There's a link in our Instagram bio, or go to thebros.memberful.com, or just click the link at the bottom of this episode description. But yeah, offering some new stuff on the membership program. So make sure you sign up. It's $5 for the month or $50 for the year. Let's jump into this one. And it starts out with Meredith. She's testing out some scents for some bath bombs. We are continuing to hear about the bath bombs. Have we ever seen the bath bombs?
Have not. I don't know if they exist at this point in time.
Should we Google it and try
Well,
to order a bath
they
bomb?
might exist now, but I'm saying in the midst of this season, when we're talking from the first episode about Whitney's bath bombs to now whatever episode this is, like 9 or 10, we're still talking about bath bombs.
Like
She's
13.
testing out scents for them, so I don't think they exist yet. I think they're
But
still in
then
production
Why is she mad at Whitney if that's true? Because she made
because
it
she
seem like
has a
she was the queen
monopoly.
of bath bombs.
She's the queen of baths, so
Just
bath
baths.
bombs, yeah. So, but that
Anything.
includes bubbles. We're talking about bath bombs. We're talking about there's other little things that you put in there that it just like smell good. I'm sure it's
Scents,
everything. Bath cleaning, probably Meredith.
oils. Oh, cleaning products.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think that she is mad about bubbles? Like if you purchase bubbles to just make blow bubbles, is that too close to bubbles in a bath?
No,
Oh, okay. So those are cool. All
yeah.
right.
No, those
I'm
are
just trying to understand. But they aren't talking about the bat mitzvah. And Seth, of all people, is the one that's like, hold on. Last night was nuts. Like, we're not going to talk about this. We're going to talk about bath bombs. Like, what the fuck? And she starts talking about what set her off. And it was when Brittany came up to her and said that Angie keeps slut shaming me. She keeps slut shaming me. And she's like, this night was not about hate. And I said there'd be no hate. So Angie's been acting like a mean girl. And I was triggered. And I'm not down. I am not down with that behavior. This is the short-term memory that I speak of.
Yeah.
Because if we go to past seasons with Meredith, she tends to hit below the belt. And her go-to move, as we've seen time and time again, is starting the rumor mill. She turns it on. She doesn't say it, but she turns it on. And for her to still be holding on to, and we see it later, I didn't spread any rumors about Sean's sexuality. I don't know why they keep bringing that up. It's like, you did.
It's almost like she's trying to blame Monica almost for doing it, because from what I recall last season, Monica was the one who came over to Meredith to say, I know that you had heard something. What did you hear about Sean and Angie? And then Meredith just reiterated to Monica, who then told, which straight over to Angie, it just told her. But it still came from Meredith. At the end of the day, you can say whatever you want about who perpetuated it, who brought it to the group, who went directly to Angie, sure, whatever. But she still had it. It's still a matter of there are rumors at your disposal that sometimes you use. Yeah, that you sometimes use and sometimes threaten drunkenly at a different bar. But you can't now sit here and say that you're not perpetuating them, because we, again, have you on film perpetuating the rumors. So her putting her foot down here was hilarious. But you brought it up about Seth, of all people, bringing it up. We talk about these manufactured scenes where it's like, all right, we do need to talk about this, but we're going to do it in the way that the husband brings it up. So we've seen it from Ken for LVP to now Seth over here with Meredith. I think it's hilarious that both of her kids are sitting there and we're just talking about all of this. The kids are getting involved, and I know why they're getting involved, because of the other show that they're going to be on. I love the kids so much because they all sound like Meredith. They all talk like Meredith.
No,
they all are. They had that monotone, like
airy voice.
Yeah, it's like up and down.
It smells
and
like the back. Four Seasons.
Yeah, no, it's just so funny to me because they all start talking, and then you have Seth like, I want to talk about this. You know, we could talk about bath bombs whatever the hell we want. I want to talk about what happened last night. That was one of the more organic ways of starting a conversation like this, where we know you're being forced to do this. But I loved it. I thought it was perfect because we do need to know right away. We're going to hit the ground running. We're not going to spend too much time on bath bombs.
No, but I mean, it's nothing new. It's all the reasons she's been saying about Angie. She said it at the party. And again, you know, it's short-term memory, but whatever. In the midst of this, you get Angie and Sean. Angie's pissed because she's obviously embarrassed. And, you know, she went there with good intentions and it was a big deal to invite me. Unless you have no friends. I was like, nice dig, solid. But they're both mad. And this is kind of what we've seen throughout this season with everybody. Everyone has an issue with somebody else. And they all think that they're owed an apology from that person. So everyone thinks they need to be apologized to.
Yeah.
From the person that they want an apology from, and that person wants an apology from the person that they want an apology from.
Yeah.
There is no way to mend that bridge.
It's a broken merry-go-round. It's a broken merry-go-round that I enjoy watching.
Me too. It's lovely. But I guess at the party, Sean was saying, yelling, like, you need to see both sides, Meredith. You need to see both sides, which I didn't think had a whole lot of merit until we get later that there were more sides to this story.
What
At
is
least
Sean's
Paul-
accent, by the way? Did you catch that?
I did. I don't know.
Is he Canadian or something? What? Like I couldn't figure it out. Like where'd he come from?
Maybe. I don't know.
Just sounded weird. I don't know. Kind of hit my
Yeah, I don't
ear.
know. I heard it a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't put that much stock into it. Clearly not as much as you
I
did.
do. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll pay attention. I'll see if I can figure it out next episode. But it's funny to hear like what Meredith gets stuck on. She's like, all they do is spew lies and the comments and about my disability. They're making fun of my disability. I was like, look, I get if you're sensitive about that. That's understandable. Sure. You don't want somebody to be using your hearing aids like that. Yeah, it was a slightly disparaging remark, but she wasn't full throttle going after your disability.
No.
She was saying she needs hearing aids because Bronwyn doesn't listen. That's again at your expense. And if you want to be like, hey, don't do that, like I get it, but she's now acting as though Angie was flat out making fun of her for needing hearing aids, and that just simply was not the case.
No.
But things tend to get blown out of proportion, which we again appreciate. But we get Mary and Angie. Mary lets herself in, and I thought that was funny. I think it's even funnier that there's this beautiful charcuterie board, and she's like, "I'm not going to eat, but it looks beautiful." I'm like, "At least you're honest." But
Yeah. She's
neither
honest
of
and
them-
she's consistent because I expect that from Mary.
But neither of them know how to open champagne, which is shocking to me because that's all Mary drinks. It's Dom Perignon. It's what is it, 1992 or something? It's
Yeah, I
very
think it was
specific year.
1992. Yeah.
Of Dom. So the fact that she doesn't know how to open it is alarming to me. But regardless, they get it open. And this was a pretty touching scene, I thought, because Mary starts talking about the rough day that she had. And she brings up, you can tell when your kid's acting weird. And she opens up to Angie about Robert Jr. and the struggle that he's been having with addiction and how difficult it's been navigating this, and lets her in even as far enough to say that he told me he wanted to die, that he stayed for me, and that he felt like he was a stain. And she's just breaking down. And this was such a tough scene to watch as she's crying in her confessional. And, the line that stuck out to me the most was, if I don't blame myself, then whose fault is it?
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful sentence because I think so many people that are involved with somebody dealing with addiction have this same question. And I think that what was eye-opening for me when I got home was talking to certain people that I hadn't really talked to recently when I was in the midst of my addiction. And even they felt like they had failed me in some kind of way. And they could have done more to step up and help me out. And to Mary and to anybody else, like, all I'll say is this, and I said it last week when we talked about it, there's nothing you can really do in the thick of it. And it does feel like you fell short in some ways, Mary, or maybe it was a parenting issue or you didn't address something. None of that is true. I thought Angie did such an exceptional job of explaining it from her perspective and what she's gone through with her mother, learning how to heal from that. This is, in fact, a disease, and it can, in fact, happen to anybody. And no, it's not your fault. You probably did everything right. You parented him the way that you thought was correct. It happens out of nowhere. He tried a drug at a party. He liked it. Something else takes over and you go down this hole. And there's sometimes not anything that can be done until it hits a breaking point at rock bottom. And then you address it. And the thing that you can take credit for, Mary, and take some comfort in is the minute that you found out, you said, let's get you help. And you're doing everything in your power to do that. But I thought Angie voicing her experience with it, understanding that no, there's nothing you could have done. This is not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. This shit happens to everybody. It's sad. It's scary. It's hard. It's difficult. When you needed to step up, you're stepping up. Take comfort in that. Try not to live on regret and hindsight. Because like I said in that one post that we made, hindsight will ruin you. You'll think back on every interaction you had when he wasn't at his best and be like, I could have stepped in then. I could have stepped in then. Until he was ready to come to you with it or do something about it. Even if you'd stepped in, he would have sidestepped it and continued to do it. So it's really hard to hear that she blames herself. I'm really sad that she does. I think that anybody in her position will. And I think that's another aspect of addiction that sucks so much, is that there's no avoiding that.
Yeah.
And until you've gone through it, you can't really understand it. So hopefully she's able to work through this and understand that this is not your fault, Mary. You're doing everything you can to help him. It sounds like he's doing really well now. That's amazing. I hope that she's able to lighten up. I know it's hard in the midst of it, but this is not your fault. It was never your fault.
Yeah, and it was really important to see that she's actually reaching out to people, sitting there with somebody who
Yes.
now is your closest friend on the cast. And obviously you have Meredith, but you got into it with Meredith. So I don't blame her for not sitting down with somebody like Meredith, who she's known for a long time, who would be able to help her with something like that. But sitting down with Angie, who has experience with something along those lines, who can sit there and tell you, hey, this isn't your fault. But she's still opening up to her, which is huge because of after what we just watched, where she opened up in front of everybody and showed her entire conversation with Robert Jr. to then move on less than 2 episodes later and sit down with one of your friends on the cast and talk about it in an open way about how it makes you feel and where you are. It can at least then get to the rest of the cast in a way of maybe not, because I can't see Angie doing this and saying exactly what happened, but she will sit there and say, Mary's going through some stuff, just give her some space, just in case anything pops off on the trip. Because if it doesn't, then we're just going to see people harping on it and saying that Mary's being a terrible person, she's being a terrible friend, but they don't know what's going on, and they have an inkling in the back of their minds like, oh, something might be going on. But we've seen these people time and time again. They don't really care unless they know what's going on or they know you're going through something. They're not going to sit there and operate under the guise of there could be something going on there, so I'm going to give you grace. They don't give you grace because of the element of how the TV show works. So Angie knowing this and taking it down to the cast trip before Mary gets there, again, not going to specify exactly what happened, but if there's something going on with Mary, at least Angie's there to say, look, back off, leave her alone. There is something going on. You don't know about it. And when she's ready to talk about it, she will. But right now she's not. So you do need to back off of her. That'll be important. At least it's helpful because we don't want to see people bog somebody else down who's already going through all this shit that we know about, we're privy to, but they're not.
Yeah, hopefully she's able to throw a little buffer in between the questions, you know, and we'll see. I hope she doesn't divulge any of it. That's 100% Mary's story to tell. But I do think that it's good that she can at least step in and be like, hey, let's lighten up. She's going through it.
For sure.
But we get to the Mexico trip, and Heather feels like she's in a good place with everyone. And I think that her issues are kind of water under the bridge, given that everyone else is at odds. So I do think that she's in the clear, which is good. So she's at her best.
That's where Heather,
yes,
that's where she best operates, when she's not in the midst of all that. And she can just stand on the outskirts and make jokes with the waiter about all the other people's behaviors.
Yeah, and funny confessionals, like that's where you thrive. That's where we love you. So I'm glad she's back in that place. But the whole group is at odds. We go through the quick rundown of who's staying where and why, and I love that. I could do that every episode just so every time. Update. But Bronwyn shows up to the airport. The first issue that we have is she asked Lisa if she could bring gifts. Lisa said no. She brings gifts anyway. It's just passport holders. I didn't think this was a big deal. Maybe I don't know what it's like to throw a luxury trip. So I don't know.
I think it was a big deal. I think that her telling her straight up no, you just don't bring it. Especially if you're gonna. I have an issue with Bronwyn in this episode. I think she's being a huge baby. She needs to fucking stop. But with something like this, and it's Lisa Barlow of all people, and you're trying to get back into her good graces, as you tell us 50 times in your confessionals over the next hour, you can't then step on her toes and bring a gift to a luxury trip like that. Leave it alone. Give it to them next time. You're going to have your own trip again, probably be out of the country. Just hold on to those passport holders. Don't step on any toes, because this is something that seems very menial, but Lisa Barlow will get pissed off about it. So just don't do it.
And I guess you're right. She knows that too. She knows how Lisa operates. So she starts the trip off with it. So, okay, I see what you're putting down, but we get a little more info, and she talks about a dog bite. Oh, holy my God.
Shit. Yeah.
And she showed her leg. She got like holes in it from the dog's teeth, and like it's bruised to hell. And I'm like, Jesus. And then she shows her arm. I feel like not enough emphasis was placed on the fact that she had like a very serious dog attack. And I feel like we just kind of move on from it. She's like, yeah, but I'm here. Like, it's all good.
Here,
I took a nap.
and it sucks that I'm going to Mexico because I have to wear bikinis and stuff. But, it was pretty traumatizing. All right. I'm still mad at you about the passport holders. So let's not gloss over that.
Yeah. Fuck you for the passport holders. But is your leg okay? Because it looks gangrenous. Like that was crazy.
That was fucking insane.
Hopefully she's fully recovered for that's fucking wild. But they get to Puerto Vallarta, and Lisa says the trip will be perfect. We got a PowerPoint for everything. And you know that no trip is complete without a good PowerPoint. If you don't have it, you're not going to have a successful trip. PowerPoint's ready. We get to the villas. Gorgeous, by the way. Well done, Lisa Barlow. And we start to talk about room assignments. And it's broken down as such. Villa 1, Meredith, Heather, Lisa Barlow, Brittany. Villa 2, Angie, Bronwyn, Whitney, Mary. Am I leaving anybody out?
No.
That's it, right? So you get, obviously, some people in the one villa are not talking to the people in the other villa. I do not think it's as big of a slight as Bronwyn took because, again, where are you currently with Lisa Barlow? That's what these shows are about. And I think the thing that is throwing a speed bump into Bronwyn's performance on this show is expecting the same friendship that she had with Lisa before she was on the show. It always comes back to that. When I knew her in the past, we would do X, Y, and Z. Now that I'm on this show with her other friends, it's like, yeah, because now you're in the game. This is a game. They play a game. You want to have a leg up on people. You don't want to look like you're weaker than. You want to be the HBIC.
Yep.
It's Lisa Barlow. She thinks she's number one always, no matter where she's at. So you're not going to come into this group and try to flex on her because she will flex on you in return. You haven't experienced that before. This is new. So in this scenario where you have these two villas, you are not currently in a great place with Lisa Barlow. It would do you so many favors to grin and bear it and be like, all right, whatever. I need to go smooth it over with Angie and Whitney because shit's awkward as hell with them. Now you have a chance to make some alliances against Lisa in the other villa. If Bronwyn was smart, she would take this opportunity to be with these three. You get Mary, Whitney, and
Angie,
and you would bring them over to your team. That's
you
a group.
could. That would be a group, but what the only slight in Bronwyn's game that we've seen this whole season, she does need to toughen up. She needs to understand that this is the way the game is played. You're seeing her call out, this is how the game is played. And you can call things out, but you can't have thin skin. You can't let things like this get under your skin. And also, this is the main component of this. There is no other combination that actually works because Brittany and Bronwyn don't get along. Brittany barely gets along with anybody in the group because they all think that she's stupid. But you're going to put her there with Heather because she's a friend. Lisa doesn't have a problem with Brittany, and neither does Meredith. That makes the most sense. Meredith just came to her defense last week. So you can't just swap out, as she said later, swap out Heather for Bronwyn, swap out Brittany for Bronwyn. You can't put Bronwyn in there because she's still not really getting along with Heather, but I guess it's okay. This makes the most sense across the board. By far, I think Lisa actually did her homework on it, and it makes sense. It's not a slight to Bronwyn because she's not with Lisa at all.
It is a slight.
No,
I do
it's
think
not.
It's a slight.
It's
I
just,
think she's taking a dig, but I do think it makes them. I think two things can be true.
I think she's a big baby. I think I think it's the smallest dig of all time, if it is a dig. And I don't even think it's a dig. I think it's just this is the combination that makes sense. We can't swap Bronwyn in with anybody.
I would agree if it wasn't Lisa, because I do know that Lisa, like you said, does her homework. I do know that Lisa knows that she's going to take offense because if you flipped this and Lisa got stuck in the other villa, she would be pissed. So two things can be true. I do agree.
Fair.
Bronwyn
does need to, yeah, she just needs to toughen up. You
I agree
can't
with
let
that.
this, you can let anything else get under your skin. You can actually get offended by certain things that are said. Sure, go for it. Whatever. I don't care. But doing this up front in the beginning of a trip, it's soft. It is really soft. It's charm soft. And I don't want that from Bronwyn. I want the best for Bronwyn because I know that when she can deliver, she delivers. But these are the slights that happen along the way that could lead to her demise. And I don't want to see that happening. So you can't let this happen and get under your skin.
I agree. But she's also, it's easy to forget it's her first year because she's performed so well.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
I do think that, you know, her saying this is Lisa telling me I need to scratch and claw my way back into her good graces. I agree with that. And I see that like Angie and Whitney both agree with it. That to me is why I'm like, all right,
Of course they do.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
they're gonna feed the flames for sure
to be said there. But my point is, with that knowledge, Bronwyn, instead of taking the approach of, you know, that she's so butthurt about it, I think it would do her a lot of favors to be like, all right, if that's the case, like go fuck yourself. I'm gonna make alliances with Villa number 2, and we're gonna team up and do our own thing. We're gonna have a great time. I think there was a different approach to be made.
I don't think that she even needs to do any of that. She could just be having a good time and have a couple of inside jokes with Whitney and Angie that aren't at anybody's expense, but they're just fun little jokes that you guys made along the way, and then say them in front of everybody. And when Lisa goes, oh, what are you guys laughing about? Because that's what she's going to do, because she wants to be in on everything happening. You could say, oh, it was just this thing that happened later over at our villa. Then Lisa's going to be upset. And then if she has an issue with that, then you look at Lisa and say, well, you put me in that villa. What do you want me to do? Not have friends?
Yeah, that's fair.
Could have been played so much better instead. You were just a big old baby, Bronwyn.
It's funny watching Whitney like call out Bronwyn, like, what did you do wrong to get stuck without the cool kids?
Yep.
Like the
Feed the flames.
Yeah, of course, feed the flames. I love that. I love that Angie's feeding the flames as well. And yes, she's going through a lot. Bronwyn's going through a lot with the Gwen stuff. I thought, and I'm a little bummed out we didn't get more from that scene. Honestly,
Yeah.
I wish we'd seen that.
I thought that was
John
a full.
Barlow,
It should have been a full scene. Yeah.
it should have, because I thought that was a really cool scene. I thought that the fact that John Barlow was opening up about his adoption and going to meet his birth mother, that Lisa had championed it and wanted like this like movie scene for him, and like it was all built up in Lisa's head to be this wonderful thing. And going through it, John was like, yeah, the answer I got was that the minute that she gave me up, she never thought about me again. And Bronwyn's like, would you do it again? He's like, no, I wouldn't. Honestly, that's a scene I would have liked to see.
I agree.
Like, I think that was a very touching scene, a very real scene, on both sides. Like Lisa, of course, trying to do what she thinks is the best thing for her husband. Be like, oh, wow, and like put this thing together for him.
Yeah.
At the same time, seeing how it can go wrong. The third part of this whole thing is the fact that Lisa knows the family that Bronwyn's talking about. So there's so many dynamics here that I wish that we'd know more about.
But also, it would lead us down a different path where we're seeing Bronwyn and Lisa sit together and have a conversation about this, and have Lisa be interested and potentially be a good friend. And obviously, John opening up, which we very rarely get the husbands opening up about things going on in their lives in this, which, sometimes we do like to see that and sometimes we don't. But for something like this, we definitely do, because it adds to the perspective of what we're seeing with Bronwyn and Gwen. And also, it furthers Lisa and Bronwyn being close. So if we saw that scene and we're sitting there, and then later we saw the villa line up, then maybe we scratch our head a little bit and say, whoa, this is kind of weird. What's this about? Now, like up front, I'm just like, it's not that big of a deal. It makes sense with this combination. But if we saw that, then I could potentially look at it and be like, oh, why are we slating her now? It doesn't make any sense.
Strange.
We just had this. That's weird.
No, I agree with that. But I'm loving Whitney being like, Bron was quick to throw us under the bus at camp day. Now she's got to figure out how to get back in our good graces. I love that she thinks she's got the leg up, and like
there's no chance. The first nice thing that Bronwyn says, or she talks about her wealth or something, Whitney's going to be like, "Ooh, all right."
Yeah, it's just it cracks me up. But you get Lisa and Meredith, but you get Lisa with Meredith, and they're talking about Bronwyn's gifts. And I agree with you. I agree with them. It does seem like stepping on toes. Especially if she'd shown up with the gifts, I think it would have been like, all right, that's kind of weird, not your trip. The fact that you called Lisa and she explicitly said, don't bring gifts, and then you brought gifts, you're sending a message. You're attempting to send a message. But it's interesting, and this is what I was talking about with everyone wants an apology from everyone. The way that Lisa frames this whole thing is exactly how Bronwyn frames Lisa. She's like, Bronwyn just wants me to do what she wants, say what she wants, or else that she's mad at me.
Yep.
Bronwyn says the same about Lisa. So this is where I get kind of confused, and I tried genuinely to break it down like very pragmatically and like what I've seen from these ladies. I do know that to be true of Lisa Barlow. I do know that if you want to be in her good graces, you have to put the effort in to be in her good graces. You have to bend the knee a lot of the times. But when I try to see it from Lisa's perspective, what Bronwyn demands, I'm like, all right, have I watched these scenes the wrong way? Is Bronwyn painting a picture that I'm believing and it's not actually true? Does she actually demand more out of a friendship? Because in the scenes that I've seen, and this scene later is no different, it does appear to me that Bronwyn's trying to explain her side of things, albeit very overly sensitive. Like she could take it down a notch and not feel so slighted at little things. But it does seem like she's just trying to say her side of things, and Lisa doesn't want to hear it. So I'm like, all right, am I seeing something that's not there? Is Bronwyn more demanding in a friendship than I know of? And have I seen evidence and I'm just not recognizing it?
I don't think that I would even go as far as to say that you've seen evidence, or maybe there's some things that we're not focusing on. I think there's a potential to say we could go back and look how Lisa has treated her friends in the past. Aside from Meredith at this point, the way that Lisa has treated everybody is pretty much on par with how she's treating Bronwyn right now, where she won't hear the other side of things. She won't hear any complaints that you have about the friendship. We saw her and Angie go on about this for fucking episode after episode after episode. And what it takes is you need to sit down and force her to listen to you, but you also have to listen to everything that she has to say ad nauseum until she's ready to listen to you. And I don't think Bronwyn's ready to do that. I think Bronwyn is now saying, well, everything was well and good when we were friends outside of this show, but maybe they're spending a lot more time together. Maybe they're forced to be together a little more often and talk together. And there's a lot more emphasis, some sort of emphasis put on their friendship that wasn't there before. And Lisa's used to that because she's done this for years. Bronwyn's not. So I think Bronwyn is maybe seeing ghosts. Maybe Bronwyn is sitting there like, what is she doing? Why is she doing this? And she's a little more cognizant of it. Whereas Lisa's just like, this is par for the course. This is how things go. You need to essentially bow down to me and talk to me and listen to everything I have to say before you can speak. And I think that's just how Lisa has always been. But Bronwyn, now there's a little bit more stress on the friendship. So she's overthinking. I think she's in her own head a lot about this, and she just needs to get out of it and just say, well, it's Lisa. Of course she's going to do that. And that's all right.
I think that's the correct approach. Yeah. But I think it's hysterical that Meredith ends this scene with Bronwyn just says too many mean things. She's too mean. I'm like, all right, Meredith, like, again, just because you set yourself up to be able to have a defense because you don't fully say things, you allude to them. That's the same thing as just saying them. It doesn't mean you're scot-free. Again, back to the rumors. You did perpetuate them by bringing up the husbands in regards to Angie. You knew what you were doing, and you let somebody else do it for you. You're still guilty. Like, I just love the perspective. But